The morning had started like any other. I woke up to the familiar hum of my alarm, the faint aroma of coffee drifting from the kitchen, and the sight of her, my wife, moving gracefully across the living room. Her smile, the one I had fallen for years ago, seemed just a little too practiced today, a little too perfect. There was a tension in the air, subtle but unmistakable, like a storm waiting to break. I had always trusted her completely. Every shared secret, every whispered thought in the dark of night had cemented a bond I thought unbreakable. But something felt off. The way she avoided my gaze, the slight hesitation before answering even the simplest questions. These were tiny cracks forming in the foundation of our marriage. I brushed it off at first. Surely I was being paranoid. Surely it was just a bad dream or a fleeting worry. As I sipped my coffee, scrolling through the morning news, I noticed her phone lying on the table. Normally, I respected her privacy completely, but today, an uncharacteristic curiosity gnawed at me. I reached for it, my fingers trembling slightly. The screen unlocked easily. No password, no lock. And there it was, a series of messages that made my heart stop. Her words, playful and affectionate, were not meant for me. The name at the top of the screen was unfamiliar. Panic rose in my chest like a tidal wave. My mind raced, unable to comprehend the implications. I wanted to confront her immediately, to demand answers, to understand why she had hidden this from me. But I froze, paralyzed by a mixture of fear, disbelief, and hurt. I remembered the times we had laughed together, shared our dreams late into the night, and planned a future that now felt uncertain. Could everything I believed in be a lie? Could the woman I trusted most be harboring secrets so devastating that discovering them would shatter me? My mind spiraled, imagining all the possibilities, each one more painful than the last. As she walked into the room, humming softly, I forced a smile, hiding the storm brewing inside me. "Good morning," I said, my voice steady but cold. She smiled back, unaware of the knowledge I now held. The tension between us was invisible to her, but to me, it was suffocating. The day passed in a blur. I went through the motions at work, unable to focus, haunted by the messages I had read. My thoughts kept returning to her, to the life we had built, and to the secret that threatened to dismantle it all. I felt like an intruder in my own life, watching the woman I loved from a distance, trying to piece together a truth she had hidden so carefully. By evening, I realized that I couldn't wait any longer. I had to confront her, to find out what she had been hiding and why. But as I walked through the door, ready to demand answers, I hesitated. A voice in my head whispered, warning me that some truths are more dangerous than lies. And yet, I couldn't ignore it any longer. I had to know. Tonight, I would discover the secret she had kept from me. And I had a sinking feeling that my life, as I knew it, would never be the same again. The night settled in like a heavy blanket, suffocating and thick with anticipation. I sat on the edge of the bed, my hands clenched tightly, staring at the floor as the clock ticked relentlessly. Every sound in the house seemed amplified. The hum of the refrigerator, the soft creak of the wooden floorboards, the faint rustle of her movements in the other room. My mind replayed the messages over and over, each time twisting the knife deeper into my heart. I knew I had to confront her, but fear held me back. Fear of the truth. Fear of what her answers might do to me. Fear of losing her entirely. What if this wasn't a small betrayal? What if it was something so profound that my entire world would crumble? I wanted to scream, to demand the answers immediately. But instead, I remained frozen, my thoughts a chaotic storm I couldn't control. Eventually, I heard her footsteps approaching. She appeared at the bedroom doorway, her face calm, almost serene. "Are you okay?" she asked softly, tilting her head in concern. Her voice, normally a source of comfort, now felt like a dagger, reminding me of everything I suspected. I hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, I'm fine," I said, though my voice betrayed the tension simmering beneath the surface. We sat in silence, the weight between us growing heavier with each passing minute. I wanted to ask, to demand to know, but every time I opened my mouth, words failed me. Instead, I studied her face. The familiar lines, the curve of her smile, the way her eyes sparkled when she looked at me. Could all of this really hide a lie so devastating? Could someone capable of such warmth and affection secretly be living a double life right under my nose? Finally, unable to contain myself any longer, I blurted out, Who, who are you talking to? My voice cracked, and I immediately regretted it. Her calm demeanor wavered for a fraction of a second, and I saw the flicker of guilt, or was it fear, pass across her face. She looked down, then back at me, eyes glistening but unreadable. I, I can explain, she said quietly, her voice trembling ever so slightly. The hesitation in her tone confirmed my worst fears. She had indeed been hiding something. I leaned forward, heart pounding, demanding the truth with my eyes. Now, tell me. I need to know everything. She took a deep breath and sat beside me, her hands trembling as they rested in her lap. It's not what you think, she whispered. I didn't mean for you to find out this way. I was trying to protect you. Protect us. Please just hear me out before you judge me. My heart raced and anger surged through me. Protect me? How could hiding the truth possibly protect me? And yet, I couldn't bring myself to walk away. I needed to know, to understand, even if the answers destroyed everything I thought I knew. And so she began to speak, her voice soft but filled with a weight I had never heard before. Every word she uttered peeled back layers of deception I never imagined existed, and every revelation hit me like a punch to the chest. By the time she finished, I felt hollowed out, as if the very foundation of my life had been ripped away, leaving only questions, pain, and disbelief. That night, I learned that some truths are far more devastating than lies, and I realized that my life had changed forever, whether I wanted it to or not. The room felt colder than ever, though the night outside was calm. Her confession had left me numb, my mind struggling to process the magnitude of what she had just revealed. I wanted to scream, to cry, to do something, anything to make sense of the chaos she had thrown into my life. But all I could do was sit there, staring blankly as the weight of the truth pressed down on me. I never wanted you to find out like this, she said again, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought I could handle it on my own. I thought I could bury it deep enough that it would never hurt anyone, especially you. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, and I could feel her guilt radiating off her like heat. I tried to speak, but the words got stuck in my throat. How could she think hiding something so monumental could ever protect me? How long had this been going on, and why? I needed answers, and I needed them now. How long have you been hiding this? I finally managed, my voice low and strained. She swallowed hard and looked away. Years, she admitted. Before we even met, before we decided to be together. I thought I could erase it, forget it, live a normal life. But some things can't be forgotten. They linger. They follow you. My heart sank further. Years? That meant she had carried this secret for almost our entire relationship. Every shared moment, every laugh, every promise, now felt tainted, shadowed by a truth I hadn't known. I wanted to scream at her, accuse her, demand why she hadn't trusted me. But as angry as I was, there was also a part of me that still loved her, still wanted to believe in the woman I had married. Why didn't you tell me? I whispered, my voice barely audible. Why not me? Why not us? I was scared, she confessed, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. Scared that if I told you, you'd leave me. Scared that you wouldn't understand. I thought I could protect our life, our love, by keeping it hidden. I didn't mean to hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you. Her words hit me like a tidal wave. I wanted to forgive her, to hold her, to pretend it had never happened. But the truth is, trust once broken is not easily repaired. Every lie, every hidden detail lingered in my mind like a shadow I couldn't escape. I stood up abruptly, pacing the room. Do you know what this does to me? I shouted, the anger finally breaking through the numbness. Do you know what it feels like to realize the person you love has been hiding an entire life from you? She remained seated, tears streaming, nodding silently. I know, she whispered, and I hate myself for it every single day. I know I've broken you. I hope one day you can understand why I did it. I stopped pacing and turned to face her, my chest tight, my mind a whirlwind of emotion. Love, betrayal, confusion, anger. The storm inside me was overwhelming. And yet, even as my heart ached, I knew one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. The foundation of our life together had been shaken, and the question that haunted me was whether it could ever be rebuilt. That night, I realized that discovering a hidden truth is not just about knowing facts. It's about confronting the person you thought you knew and facing the terrifying possibility that everything you believed in may have been a lie. The next morning, the house felt different, haunted almost. The sunlight filtering through the curtains could not pierce the heavy cloud of doubt that hung over me. I wandered through each room, touching objects, remembering moments, trying desperately to reconcile the woman I loved with the secrets she had kept from me. Everything felt surreal, like I was living in a dream I desperately wanted to wake up from. She moved around the kitchen, preparing breakfast as if nothing had happened, but every gesture seemed mechanical, rehearsed. I watched her, heart pounding, wondering how she could act so normal while carrying the weight of such a monumental secret. How long had she been rehearsing this facade, and how many moments had been tainted by it without my knowing? Finally, I broke the silence. "We need to talk. Again. Now." My voice was steady, but inside I was shaking. She turned to face me, fear evident in her eyes this time, and nodded silently. We sat down at the table, the clatter of cutlery and coffee cups echoing in the heavy silence. "I need to know everything," I said, my gaze locking onto hers. "No more half-truths, no more lies, everything. Start from the beginning." Her hands trembled as she folded them on the table. "It started before we met," she began, voice quivering. "I was involved in something complicated, dangerous even. I thought it was over, that I had left it behind. But some things follow you no matter how far you run. I thought I could start fresh, with you, without dragging the past into our life. I was wrong." My stomach twisted. Dangerous? Complicated? My mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments of her confession. What could possibly have been so serious, so consuming that she had to hide it from me for years? I felt like I was staring into a void, the unknown swallowing me whole. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked again, voice trembling despite my effort to stay composed. "Even now? Why now? Why tell me this way?" Tears welled in her eyes. "Because I was afraid of losing you. Because I wanted to protect you. I wanted to protect us. But when you found the messages, I realized I could no longer hide. You deserved the truth. And I couldn't live with lying to you anymore." Her honesty was like a double-edged sword. On one side, I wanted to believe her, to trust the sincerity in her voice. On the other, every word reminded me of the betrayal, the years of secrets, the hidden life I had never known. I felt like I was unraveling, the threads of our relationship coming apart in my hands. "I don't know if I can forgive this," I admitted, my voice barely audible. "I don't even know if I can look at you the same way again. Everything feels tainted." She reached for my hand, and for a moment, I hesitated. The warmth of her touch was familiar, comforting, yet it carried the weight of her deception. "I know I've hurt you," she whispered. "I know I've broken the trust that was supposed to bind us together. All I can do is ask for a chance to rebuild, to prove that I love you and that I never wanted to hurt you. Please, let me try." I pulled my hand away gently, feeling the sting of her words and the truth they carried. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to hold on to the life we had built. But deep inside, I knew that once trust is shattered, the path to healing is long and uncertain. And I couldn't stop wondering, what else was hidden from me? What other secrets lurked in the shadows of the life I thought I knew? That day, I realized that discovering a hidden truth is only the beginning. The real challenge is deciding whether you can survive the aftermath, or whether some wounds are too deep to ever heal. That evening, I couldn't sleep. The room felt suffocating, as if the walls themselves were pressing down on me, echoing every doubt, every betrayal, every unanswered question. I paced the floor, my mind a relentless whirlwind, replaying her confession over and over. Every word she had said, every tear she had shed seemed to swirl around me, mixing with my anger, my confusion, my heartbreak. I knew I needed answers, but part of me was terrified of what I might discover next. The truth, I realized, was like a maze. Every turn revealed another secret, another layer of deception I hadn't anticipated. I felt trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Unable to resist, I reached for her phone again, though I hated myself for it. Curiosity, fear, and the desperate need for understanding drove me. As I scrolled through the messages, something jumped out. An unfamiliar name, recurring over weeks, sometimes months, always accompanied by words that hinted at danger, secrecy, and unspoken promises. My heart pounded. This was no ordinary secret. This wasn't just an affair of the heart. It was something darker, something that had followed her from a life I knew nothing about. She entered the room quietly, and I froze, my hands hovering over the phone. Her eyes widened slightly, a mix of surprise and fear, and I knew in that moment that she had feared this day would come. "Please, don't," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You don't understand. You shouldn't look." But I had already seen enough to know that I couldn't turn back. The pieces were starting to fit together, though the picture they formed was horrifying. There were mentions of meetings, hidden locations, and promises that I couldn't comprehend. My stomach churned as I realized the depth of the web she had been entangled in. A life full of secrets, danger, and lies, carefully hidden behind the facade of normalcy. I confronted her, voice tight with emotion. "What is this? Who is he? What have you been involved in?" My hands shook as I held the phone between us. She sank into a chair, tears streaming freely now. "It's complicated. It's a part of my past I tried to bury, but it's come back to haunt me. And I couldn't tell you because I couldn't bear to see you get hurt. I thought I could handle it alone." Her words barely registered as I struggled to process what I was hearing. Alone? She had kept this from me for years, weaving a life I didn't know existed. Every lie, every omission now felt like a betrayal so profound that I wasn't sure I could recover. I paced again, fists clenched, anger boiling. "Do you even realize what this means? You've been lying to me, hiding a dangerous life from me, while I thought we were building a future together? How am I supposed to trust anything you say now?" She reached out, desperate, almost pleading. "I know I've broken you. I know I've destroyed the trust between us. But please, please believe me when I say I never wanted to hurt you. I wanted to protect you. That's why I hid it. I wanted to believe her, wanted to forgive, wanted to hold on to the life I loved. But the gnawing fear in my chest told me the truth was far from over. This was just the beginning. The secrets were deeper, darker, and more dangerous than I could imagine. And somewhere in the shadows of her past, the full story was waiting, ready to change everything forever. That night, I realized something terrifying. Sometimes the person you love most is not just capable of hiding the truth. They are capable of living a life so complex, so dangerous, that discovering it could destroy everything you ever thought you knew. The following day felt heavier than any before. Even the sunlight seemed dim, as if the world itself knew that my life had irrevocably shifted. I wandered through the familiar rooms, but everything seemed foreign. Her laughter, once comforting, now echoed like a distant memory. The very air felt thick with lies I could no longer ignore. I couldn't stop thinking about the messages, the unfamiliar name, and the glimpses into a life she had hidden from me. Each detail gnawed at me, pulling me further into a storm of confusion and anger. How could someone I loved so deeply be capable of such secrecy? How could she live with herself, knowing the weight of the deception she carried? By evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I confronted her again, my voice raw with emotion. "You have to tell me everything. No more half-truths, no more hiding. I need to know who he is, what this is about, and why you've kept this from me for so long." Her eyes filled with tears, and she sank into the chair, trembling. "I was afraid," she whispered. "Afraid that if you knew the truth, you would leave me. Afraid that our life together would crumble. I thought I could handle it alone, but I was wrong. Everything I tried to bury, it's all catching up to me now." I wanted to scream, to shake her until she spilled every detail. But instead, I sat down across from her, trying to steady my racing heart. Then tell me, I said quietly. Tell me everything from the beginning. No detail is too small. I deserve to know. She took a deep breath, her hands shaking as she clasped them together. Years ago, she began, I got involved with people I shouldn't have. Dangerous people. I made choices I regretted immediately, but I had no way out. I thought I could escape, start over, and forget it ever happened. That's why I hid it from you. I wanted a normal life with you, without dragging the shadows of my past into it. Her confession hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. My mind raced, trying to grasp the magnitude of what she had just revealed. Dangerous people? A hidden past? What exactly had she done, and how close had it come to destroying everything? I... I never thought you'd find out, she continued, her voice breaking. And when you did, I realized there's no running from it anymore. They're coming back. And I couldn't keep you safe if you knew. That's why I lied. That's why I kept secrets. I was trying to protect you. My blood ran cold. Coming back? Dangerous people? Her past was not just a collection of mistakes. It was a storm, and I had been standing blind in the eye of it, completely unaware. The life I thought I knew, the woman I thought I loved completely, was now a stranger with shadows creeping in from a past I could barely imagine. I wanted to be angry, to scream, to demand that she fix everything immediately. But beneath it all, I felt a flicker of something else. Fear. Fear not just for my own heart, but for our safety. If what she said was true, then danger wasn't just a story, it was real, imminent, and heading straight for us. That night, sleep eluded me. Every sound outside the house, every creak of the floor, every rustle of the wind felt like a warning. I realized that discovering the truth wasn't just about heartbreak, it was about survival. And I had no idea if we could survive what was coming next. The night was thick with tension, the kind that made every shadow in the house seem alive. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was lurking just beyond the walls, watching, waiting. Her words from yesterday echoed in my mind, each one heavier than the last. They're coming back. I paced the living room, fists clenched, trying to make sense of it all. I had always trusted her implicitly, but now trust felt fragile, like shattered glass underfoot. I couldn't help but ask myself how I had missed the signs all these years. The little hints, the evasions, the moments when she seemed distracted. Had I been blind, or had I simply chosen to ignore them? She entered the room quietly, sensing my turmoil. Her eyes, once a source of comfort, now reflected the same fear that churned inside me. "They're here," she whispered, barely audible. "I think they found us." A cold chill ran down my spine. My heart raced, my mind screaming warnings I didn't want to hear. "Who? What do you mean?" I demanded, though my voice shook despite my efforts to stay calm. She swallowed hard, her hands trembling. "The people from my past, the ones I told you about, they never let go. I thought I had escaped them, but somehow, they know. I don't know what they want, but I can't risk your safety. I had to hide the truth, to keep you away from this." I felt my stomach drop. This wasn't just betrayal. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was danger. Real, tangible, life-threatening danger. And suddenly, the woman I had loved so completely was no longer just someone I wanted to protect emotionally. I had to protect her as well. A sudden noise outside the window made me jump. My heart thudded in my chest as I rushed to peek through the blinds. Shadows moved in the yard, figures, lurking, watching. Panic surged through me. "We have to leave," I said, grabbing her hand. "Now, we can't stay here." She nodded silently, fear etched into every line of her face. As we hurried to gather essentials, I realized how little I actually knew about her past. Every moment, every secret she had kept was like a puzzle piece. But now the picture was incomplete, chaotic, and terrifying. We left the house quickly, slipping into the night, hearts racing. I couldn't help but glance at her, the woman I had loved and trusted, now both my guide and my unknown. There was so much I didn't know, so much I had to understand. But survival came first. As we drove away, the streets dark and empty, I asked her, voice tense, "How did this happen? How did they find us?" She shook her head, tears streaming. "I don't know. I thought we were safe. I thought my past was behind me, but it seems nothing stays buried forever. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, a sinking feeling settling in my chest. Discovering her secret had already shattered the life I knew. But now it wasn't just about betrayal or heartbreak. It was about fear, about danger, about survival. And deep down, I knew that whatever awaited us, nothing could prepare me for the revelation still to come. That night, I understood the harshest truth of all. Sometimes the past doesn't stay buried, and when it resurfaces, it can destroy everything you love, everything you believe, and everyone you trust. The night air was sharp and cold as we drove through the deserted streets, the car's headlights cutting through the darkness like fragile hope. Every sound outside made my heart jump. Every shadow seemed alive. I kept glancing at her, the woman I had trusted, loved, and now feared. Her eyes were wide with worry, but there was also determination, a resolve I hadn't seen before. "They're getting closer," she whispered, gripping my arm tightly. "I don't know why, but they're relentless. I thought hiding from them would keep you safe, but it seems some people don't forgive, and some things can't be buried." Panic gnawed at me. "What exactly do they want? Money? Revenge? Why us?" I demanded, the tension rising in my chest like fire. She shook her head, tears spilling freely. "I don't know. I never wanted you to be part of this. But now that they know you exist, they won't stop. I have to tell you everything a ways. You deserve to know who I really am and what I ran from all these years." My grip on the steering wheel tightened as her words sank in. I had thought betrayal was only emotional, a secret hidden, a lie told. But now it was physical, real, and dangerous. Her past wasn't just a memory, it was a storm chasing us, and we had no refuge. She took a deep breath, voice quivering. "Years ago, I was involved with people who were powerful. I made a mistake, one that put me on their radar. I thought I could escape, but they don't forgive. They manipulate, threaten, and if they ever find out I've moved on or that someone I care about is close, they come for them too." My mind reeled. The woman I had married, who had seemed so ordinary, so loving, had lived a life I couldn't have imagined. A life full of danger, lies, and shadows that now loomed over us. And worst of all, I had been blind to it until now. Suddenly, headlights appeared in the rearview mirror, too many to count and too close. My stomach dropped. "They found us," I whispered, voice trembling. She nodded grimly. "We need to act fast. They'll be here soon. We can't let them catch us." We turned into a narrow alley, tires squealing on the wet asphalt, hearts pounding like war drums. Every instinct screamed at me to run, hide, survive. But deep down, I also felt a strange mix of anger and disbelief. How could she live a double life? One that not only betrayed me emotionally, but now endangered my very life. And then she said something that froze me. "There's one more thing you need to know, and it changes everything. What I hid from you isn't just my past. It's about you too." I froze, staring at her. "Me? What do you mean?" Her hands trembled as she reached for mine. "Everything that's about to happen, it's connected to your family, to you. That's why I had to protect you. That's why I lied. There are people who want to hurt you because of something that happened before we even met. And now it's all coming to light." My heart stopped. My world shifted beneath me. Betrayal, danger, secrets. Everything I had thought I understood about my life, about her, about us, was crumbling. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. The past doesn't just haunt the guilty, it hunts the innocent too. And I was about to find out just how deep the shadows ran. We drove on, unaware that the night had just begun, and that the truth, the full, horrifying truth, was waiting for us around the next corner. The city streets blurred past as we drove, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. Every turn, every shadow felt like a trap waiting to spring. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears, drowning out even the low hum of the car engine. She sat beside me, tense and silent, her eyes fixed on the road ahead, though she knew no road would lead us to safety. "They're closer than ever," she whispered, voice trembling. "I can feel it. They know where we are." My chest tightened. "Why me? Why now? What did they want from my family? I demanded, desperation seeping into my voice. The anger I had felt before, the heartbreak, the betrayal, had been replaced by pure fear. She exhaled shakily. It's not just about you, Aways, it's about your father, your family. Years ago, someone took something from them, something I got involved with unknowingly, and now they want revenge. They've waited all these years and they've finally found a way to strike. I swallowed hard. Every word she said seemed to twist the knife further into my chest. My life, my family, my future, all entangled in a web I hadn't even known existed. Betrayal was one thing, but the realization that my life was in danger, that the people from her past could harm the people I loved, made my stomach churn with dread. Suddenly, the first car appeared behind us, headlights glaring, engine growling like a predator closing in. I slammed my foot on the accelerator, tires screeching as we darted down a narrow alley. My mind raced. There was no way to outrun them forever. Eventually, they would catch up. And when they did, I didn't know if either of us would survive. They're not just after us, she said, her voice urgent. They know how to find us. They've been tracking us. I tried to sever all ties, erase every trace, but it wasn't enough. I was careless. I made mistakes that cost us now. My hands shook on the wheel. Careless? You mean you put me, my life, my family at risk? Rage mixed with fear, a combustible force that made me want to scream. She reached over, touching my arm, a desperate plea in her eyes. I did it to protect you. I thought hiding the truth would shield you. I never wanted this to happen. But it's too late now. We have to fight a ways. We have to survive. I swallowed, the weight of the revelation pressing down harder than ever. Betrayal, fear, love, trust. It all collided inside me, leaving me dizzy, shattered, unsure of anything. And yet, I knew one thing. We couldn't run forever. At some point, the confrontation would come, and we would have to face the full truth, the full danger that had been lurking patiently all these years. And then, through the rearview mirror, I saw them. Shadows moving swiftly, closing in from every side, relentless and unyielding. The night had become a battlefield, and we were trapped in its center. I realized with a cold certainty that discovering her secret was only the beginning. The real fight, the fight for our lives, was about to begin. In that moment, I understood the harshest truth. Some secrets aren't just dangerous, they're deadly. And the cost of discovering them might be everything we hold dear. The night had descended into chaos. The streets, once familiar, were now a maze of shadows and danger. My heart pounded like a war drum as the figures from her past closed in, relentless, merciless. Every instinct screamed at me to drive faster, to escape, but deep down I knew there was no outrunning the past forever. She reached over, gripping my arm, her eyes wide and urgent. We have to face this. It's the only way. I have to make this right. I swallowed hard, torn between anger, fear, and the love I still felt for her. Betrayal had cut deep, but seeing the terror in her eyes reminded me why I had fallen in love with her in the first place. She wasn't the enemy, she was the target, and together, we had a chance to survive. We pulled into an abandoned warehouse, the shadows of the night our only cover. She whispered instructions, revealing knowledge I had never known she possessed. Every step she took, every move she made, spoke of a past life, one I hadn't imagined, one that had trained her to survive situations like this. Suddenly, headlights swept across the lot and the figures emerged from the darkness, circling us. My chest tightened. They were not ordinary threats. They were precise, methodical, and determined. I glanced at her, fear mixed with resolve etched into her features. I'm sorry, she whispered, tears streaking her face. I should have told you everything sooner. I wanted to protect you. Protect us. But now there's no time for hiding. She moved with grace and precision, directing me to take cover while she confronted the intruders. My pulse raced as I watched her, the woman I thought I knew completely, now a warrior of her own past, fighting for both our lives. Every secret she had kept, every hidden skill, every unspoken truth, all of it came together in that moment. Minutes felt like hours, but slowly the danger receded. The figures retreated, unable to break through her defenses and the walls of determination she had built. We were safe. For now. I sank to the ground, shaking, breathless, staring at her. I. I don't know what to say, I whispered. I thought I knew you, but I had no idea. She knelt beside me, gripping my hands tightly. I know, and I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I never wanted you to be part of this nightmare. But the truth, it was always better than the lies. I had to show you that I would fight for us, even if it meant revealing everything I tried to hide. Tears streamed down my face, a mixture of relief, grief, and lingering anger. I realized then that betrayal is a storm that tests the strength of love, trust, and resilience. And though we had been shaken to our core, we had survived. Not because the past had disappeared, but because we faced it together. We walked away from the warehouse, the night finally quiet. The danger was gone, but the scars remained. Scars of secrets revealed, trust broken, and lives endangered. Yet, in those scars, I also saw something else. A chance to rebuild, to forgive, and to confront the future with eyes wide open. That night, I understood a profound truth. Love is not just about sharing joy and comfort. It's about surviving betrayal, facing danger, and discovering the depths of courage within yourself and the one you choose to trust. And as I held her hand, I knew one thing. Whatever the past had been, whatever secrets remained, we would face it all together. The truth had broken us, but it had also shown us that survival, trust, and love could still endure, even in the shadow of betrayal.